Hello everyone. In this video we're going to be talking about basic factoring, and instead of working everything by hand, we're going to try to focus on Desmos since that's what the final exam is going to allow. Anyway, the very first example we are going to do factoring by hand, and then after that we're going to focus on Desmos. So let's just see an example of how to factor by hand, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so factoring by hand, you always take the number in front. So the number in front of k squared here is 1. Have the number on the end. I like to call this headphones, so you do 1 times 6, which is 6. And you want two factors of 6 that add to give you the number in the middle, which is positive 5. Alright, factors of 6 are 1 and 6 and 2 and 3. So you can see that you're going to be using 2 and 3 to get to 5 because 2 times 3 is 6 and 2 plus 3 is 5. You couldn't use 5 and 1 or 1 and 6 because you would have to have a negative to get to the value of 5. Alright, so since our values are 2 and 3, we can just jump straight to our answer since this is the basic factoring with the 1 in the front. So it's going to be x plus 2 times x plus 3. Now, let's see how to do this in Desmos, and that's how we're going to work out every single other problem that is here. Okay, so you're going to go to Desmos, you're going to type everything in. Remember that Desmos only works in x and y, so we're going to have to change all the k's to x's. But let's go to Desmos. We're going to type in x squared plus 5x plus 6. And we can see that this is going through the points negative 3 and negative 2. So we're going to use the opposites of those. We're going to use positive 3 and positive 2. So this factors is x plus 3, x plus 2, which is exactly what we had as the factors before. And you can see that we did factor this correctly because it lines up on top of the equation. All right, let's try out the second problem, and this one we're just going to do in Desmos. So we're going to go to Desmos, and we're going to type this in, okay? We're going to see where it goes, and then we're going to use the opposite values, okay? So let's make a little star, opposite values. Okay, so let's go to Desmos. We're going to type this guy in. It's going to be x squared plus minus 2x. And then minus 24. Okay, we can see that this is going through negative 4 and positive 6. So we're going to use positive 4 and negative 6. So x plus 4, x minus 6. And whenever we type this in, if I type it in correctly, you should see that this line is directly on top of the other one, which is what should happen because we're just writing an equivalent expression. So this is your answer. X plus 4, x minus 6. Okay, so in this third example, it is going to be a little bit different. We're still going to use Desmos, and you will see how this is going to work out. So let's go type this in Desmos. Remember, we can only use x and y. So it's going to be 54x squared plus 378x. Okay, whenever you do this, it is going to go through 2 points. It's going to go through negative 7 and 0. So what this means is that we're going to have x minus 0 and x plus 7. X minus 0 times x plus 7. Okay, but whenever I type this in, I don't get the same equation as I had before. So what I need to do is now look and see what other numbers are given in this equation. And I can see that I have 54x squared. And notice that I have x times x here, which is going to equal x squared. But I need this to equal 54x squared. So since I have x times x, which is x squared, I only need a 54 out in the front, and this will give me my equation. So now that I type in 54, I can see that this does line up on top of my equation, and now I'm all good to go. The only thing that I'm going to change here is that x minus 0 is the same thing as x. So I'm just going to make this x, and 54 times x is just 54x. So we're going to make this 54x times x plus 7. 54x, or 54k, times k plus 7. There we go. And these were actually k's in this problem as well. There we go. Okay, so let's try out another one. We're going to look at problem number 4. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go type into Desmos. We're going to use the opposite values. So let's type in 4x squared plus 52x plus 120. This is going to go through two values, negative 10 and negative 3. So we're going to use opposites, positive 10 and positive 3. But whenever I do this, notice that it does not line up. X times x, that would give us x squared, but we need 4x squared. So we're just going to put a 4 out in the very front, and now we have our equation here. So pulling out the 4, then you can see that this does go through those two values. So it's going to be 4 times x plus 10 times x plus 3. And actually it's r plus 10, r plus 3. Okay, let's do two more. So this next one, we have some b's. So we're going to do x's instead, x to the third plus 5x squared minus 50x. Okay, this is going to go through 3 points, negative 10, 0, and 5. Whenever you see 0, what that means is you're going to have x minus 0, which is just x. So this is going to be x times x minus 5 times x plus 10. X times x minus 5 times x plus 10. And you can see that this does line up directly on top of our equation. This is our answer. And another way you could tell that you're pulling out an x is because you do have an x in every single thing here, which is why if you were factoring by hand, you would pull out an x at the beginning. So it's going to be x, x minus 5, x plus 10. B minus 5, b plus 10. Okay, we're going to do one more. Okay, n squared minus 2n plus 1. Okay, here's our equation, and you can see that this one is actually only going through 1 point. If you'll recall the multiplicity, this is actually bouncing here, so that means that the 1 is going to be repeated. But let's try something out. If we do x minus 1, we're just going to get a straight line here. So this actually doesn't make sense that they don't line up. But because there is a multiplicity of 2, that means the factor is actually happening twice. So we're just going to write it twice, x minus 1. And now we can see that these equations are going to line up on top of each other like so. All right, and just so you know, if you had a multiplicity of 3, it would look like a cubic. If you had a multiplicity of 4, it would look like a quartic. Just so you know, but we were looking at a quadratic, so this has a multiplicity of 2 on that there. Okay, so this is x minus 1, x minus 1. Okay, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Please stay tuned for the next one. We're going to be using Desmos to factor ones with a greater than 1. Goodbye.